In this video, I will cover the remainder of John Cage's story from Living Room Music for Singing Assignment number 4. Let me remind you to form your speech quartets for this piece as soon as possible. The metronome recording of the whole piece is now available on Blackboard. Today I'm going to scroll through the score and point out anything that strikes me as potentially problematic. We left off last time at rehearsal letter B. Performer number 2 again takes the lead. Each of you needs to decide the best inflection of the words. The two most likely possibilities are to either place the emphasis on beats 1 and 3, and you, and it, and you could go on it, you could go, and you could go on it, and you could go on it, you could go and you, and it, and you and it, you could go and you could go on it. Or you could do it on the back beats, which would be beats 2 and 4. And you, and it, and you could go on it, you could go, and you could go on it, and you could go on it, you could go and you, and it, and you and it, you could go and you could go on it. They both work, but they create a very different groove. When parts 3 and 4 enter, part 3 picks up what part 2 was doing at letter A, but part 4 is still stuck on their earlier stuff. Part 1, on the other hand, over the next 8 measures, gets to say 2 new words, you and it. Now, you can either try to speak these words with extreme clarity or create a gross amalgam of these 2 syllables that when they flip back and forth. It all depends on how you attack the beginning of the word it. If you give it a glottal attack, it'll have greater rhythmic clarity. You it, you it. You it, you it, you it, it, you it, it, you 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 it, as opposed to the ambiguous you it. You it, you it, you it, you it, you it, it, you it, wah, wah, wah. Yeah, so clarity is better, I think. So everybody from B to C is basically at mezzo forte. But starting at C, part 1 should focus on the dynamics. There's a crescendo to forte for the word it. And then it goes right back down to mezzo forte, and then back to forte, and back to mezzo forte. So it flips back and forth again. So you have it, you it, you it, it, you it, you it, it, you it, you it, it. Part 2 at letter C starts at forte, and the triplets work really, really well with the text. Round and around and around, around and around. Although the dynamics begin at forte, and there's a decrescendo to piano over 4 measures, I think the flow of the text should lead to the agogic accent, to the longer notes. So the phrase is leading forward, round and around and around, around and around, around and around, around and around and around, but at the same time is getting softer. Part 3 begins to relentlessly, incessantly go at forte for 4 measures. At the release, part 4 starts snoring or buzzing or something. Zzz. The last rehearsal letter is letter D. And D to the end is actually a pretty significant chunk of the piece. It's 22 measures. Up to D, I think, is 28 measures, so it's a sizable chunk. The arrival at D is first felt by part 2, and they start reiterating once upon a time, a once upon a time, a time. But there's not much new introduced from D to the end, but the different voices interact with the same material in fun new ways. I recommend spending most of your time considering the dynamic interaction of all these parts, especially since this is a virtual performance to be edited together in post. Reliable dynamic inflection is truly the key. Well, after nailing the rhythms, of course. When I was an undergraduate, the choral director despised the negligence that his singers gave to all the written dynamics, so he mandated that everybody use colored pencils and mark the score with red to indicate loud or getting louder, and blue for anything getting or comparatively soft. It was really quite effective. Every week or so, there would be a random score check, and failing to mark your music, which to the director meant you ignored to study the score's dynamics, led to dismissal from rehearsal and would ultimately cost you a letter grade. I probably should leave this part out, but there was a poem carved onto one of the stalls in the men's bathroom on the second floor, which read, "Here I sit taking a poo, marking my music in red and blue." Maybe I should write a quartet like this on that poem. I'm not sure who I would attribute it to, but anyways, here's a performance of Story that I pulled off of YouTube, and I took the liberty to mark the score in red and blue.
Once upon a time, a once upon a time, a once upon a time, a time, a once upon a time, once upon a time, once upon a time, a once upon a time, a time, once upon a time, upon a time, upon a time, a time upon a time, upon a time upon a world, once, world, once, 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 world, once, once, world, once, once, world, once, once upon a time, upon a time, a time upon a time, a time, a once upon a time, the world was round. And you, and it, and you could go on it. You could go, and you could go on it, and you could go on it, you could go and you. And it, and you and it. You could go and you could go on it, and you and it. You could go on it, and you and it. You could go on it, and you could go. Around and around and around. Around and around. Around and around. Around and 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 around.
Good and a good.
Once upon a time, a time, once upon a time, a time, once upon a time, upon a time, a time upon a time, upon a time upon a time. Upon a time upon it, 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 upon a time upon it. Once upon a time, the world was round. And you, and it, and you could go on it. You could go, you could go, you could go, you could go, you could go,
was
you
round.
could go.
Good and a good and a good
and a good
and a good and a good
and a good
and a good. The world was round.